Alright, what's up guys? So I've mentioned before that my packages finally came in, so we've got the blind spot cameras that are going to be going in, as well as the HD module for the backup camera. Giving a little bit of insight to you guys what happened, so I'll try to make this kind of sweet and short for you. But the blind spot cameras, essentially UPS lost them, and yeah, that's the end of that. UPS, I filed a claim with them, and they said they were gonna, do their investigation. They've got so many days they have to look for it before they proceed fully with the claim as far as trying to get a new shipment. But that wasn't the case. It ended up about like 2 days out. They were pretty much summing up, yeah, it's probably lost. We're gonna need certain information from you, but then I never heard back from them to give them that information. But then on top of that, they turned around, they tried coming back saying that, no, I needed to do the legwork, reaching out to the manufacturer and so on and so forth. So I ended up just dealing with Stinger and getting this resolved. They just sent me a new package. Now, as for the backup camera, dealing with tech support and troubleshooting, it's one of two things. It's either there's something with the factory camera that's not working properly, or there is something with the module. And so tech support, just to try to help, again, troubleshoot and narrow it down, sent me a new module to swap out. So we'll swap that out. We'll see what happens and go from there. If for some reason it doesn't work, then I'll be touching base with my tech support rep and seeing what he says and go from there. So that's where we're at. So let's go ahead, let's get started with this install. All right guys, so I want to go ahead and show you so you're not taking your whole entire dash apart. If you're just swapping or checking something, or maybe even just adding like the blind spot cameras like I am, you only need to like pull this out and then pull your lower module here that's got all your AC controls and stuff on there, and pull that out enough so that you've got access. I'm over here hitting hazards. So you got access to these two bolts that hold the screen in, otherwise your screen just pops out. But you got your two lower bolts there you'll take out, then the whole screen can pop out. And in this case, with your blind spot cameras and stuff, most of the things that I had to change or I had to just like tweak, I was able to stop here and do what I need to. But because it's going a little bit further, I need access to the plugs for the camera, as well as, I believe, if I remember correctly, I shoved my HD module piece back here because there's a nice little cubby hole in the back. So it's gonna suck. I gotta pull this out, which means it's gonna be tedious to push all the wires back in, but it's going to be well worth it in the end. So I'm gonna go ahead, I got this far, I'm gonna get the rest of this piece pulled out, and then I'll show you where I'm at from there for changing that HD module and getting those cameras plugged in when I get to that point. All right guys, so I spoke with tech support, pressing on with this. So they explained that the missing port and the one they sent me is not a big deal, that you're only going through camera 1 anyways. Camera 2 is never used in these Wranglers, so it's not a big deal that that one's missing. So I went ahead, I got it swapped out. I've got the side cameras installed. So just a quick little tidbit, because I was trying to test things out to see make sure the turn signal piece works, because they said that it works automatically. For those that don't know, if you're trying to test it out, it does not work when you're sitting in park. So this was something that I didn't see anywhere. So hopefully this saves you a little trouble. If you want to test it in your driveway, basically, you're going to have to put your Jeep in drive. And then there's an option on your radio that I'll show you here in a bit that is for a low speed. And you have to flip that off. And they said basically the point of this is so that if you're at a stoplight with your blinker on, then it's not going to sit there and show you your camera screen the whole entire time. So basically, once you slow down to a certain point, it turns your camera off, so you're not staring at it, like I said, at a stoplight. So if you're wanting to test it in the driveway, that's how you do it. You flip the low speed setting off, and you've got to put your Jeep in drive. So, I mean, other than that, I have not actually tested that, but I mean, everything else works. The camera view comes in and all that. So other than that, you don't have to worry about this trigger wire, because I asked about that. You just plug the RCs directly in. I used cameras 3 and 4. That way cameras 1 and 2 would be for like front and rear. So everything's done. That was fairly easy install. I just ran the wires, the driver's side obviously back down there, and then I personally, just as assistance to run through everything, I always run through here first and pull any slack in, and then I'll continue running up through here. But other than that, I run through. They've got, you can see the camera bracket there, so the wire goes up over, put it behind the rubber gasket here, and it's basically coming back down, and it starts going where it's coming out underneath, and then just run it wherever you need to, or wherever you want to zip tie. And that's the point that over on this side, I can use the hole where the ignition switch goes through, and you can actually see the floorboard a little bit from there, or see kind of towards the back down there. And so I just route, you know, from way down there up through. This is kind of like a break point or a good stopping point for me. Like I said, feed the slack through all that, and then I can feed the rest, you know, coming out through down there. This part, you could see, that's where I pull all the slack through. So as far as over there, it's the same thing. Route out underneath there, and then pop it through the bottom of the whole dash, and you can come through behind the glove compartment. So I will probably just zip tie the wire up against the rest of those, and then that's just fed up through, and feeding through here is fairly easy, so not as much going on. So other than that, everything's fairly done. Other than I'm at the difficult point now of feeding all this tedious wire back into this tiny cubby hole that Jeep decided to reduce the spacing for some reason. So that's about the only point we're at right now, is me stuffing this wire back in here and hooking everything back up. Everything should work. I'll get more videos either sitting in the driveway where the turn signals work, or maybe while we're driving and have a camera set up so it can pick up everything. So, and then as far as that HD module that we swapped out, that's just up in here tucked away. So at least that's where I tuck it. So anybody else that's doing the radio install, FYI, there's a good bit of space up there you can utilize. You got more space up there too. That's why I try to shove a lot of these like fatter connection type wires. I try to shove them, all your RCAs and stuff, I try to shove them up in these cubby holes first, and then let the wiring bundle take up any other space. So let me get this tucked back in there, press from there, and I'll check back here in a little bit with you guys. All right, so here we are. Everything is wired back up, hooked back in, pushed back in, all that good jazz. Left blinker, driver's side. And passenger blinker. So everything does work. I'll run through the settings real quick. All right, so you'll go to the main settings, then you've got system settings, then you have to go to installer settings, 0052, advanced vehicle settings, camera settings, and so that's where all your cameras will come up. So like I said, I've got camera 3 and 4 I wanted to use for my left and right. So this one I'm at low speed override. So when that's on, that means when you sit at a stoplight, you're not gonna see your camera view. But if you're wanting your camera on the whole time, then make sure you turn that off. And then, like I said, if you've got it turned off, if you're testing it, you have to have the Jeep running and in drive. I got the e-brake on just in case, but everything is set and done. Everything works great. You can still go on here. You can still see the individual cameras. I've got doors open so you don't have a view. Sorry, get over it. Lovely. So I swapped out the HD module and I'm still not getting a signal for some reason. So that's awesome. So I might swap and put the other one back in. I really don't want to deal with that. That's kind of annoying. So we're gonna try this real quick. So fresh restart, fresh everything. See if the backup camera comes on at all, and it doesn't look like it's on to. So this is what my HD module's been doing from the get-go. It doesn't always do this. It'll work majority of the time, and then the random times it decides to cut out, this is what happens, is it gives me that delayed black screen and then gives me the no signal. So since the new module's doing this, the new module we know for a fact is supposed to be working and all that, I'm gonna run with that. It's something with the camera. I'm probably gonna have to do a different backup camera, but for the time being, probably gonna put the old module back in, so I've still got somewhat of a backup camera. I may double check and make sure the software's up to date on this, but since this is supposed to be completely up to date from the factory for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on or what else the issue would be. So more to come on that. Alright guys, so here's the final results. Everything is 100% put back in place. Had some issues. Primarily the HD module that was sent to me does not work with the camera for some reason. So I don't know if that means that my camera isn't exactly compatible or something. I've got to get back with tech support next week when my guy gets back into work. But as far as these blind spot cameras, these are awesome. I push these things all the way out and I could still see just the outer part of my Jeep, but I could still see a good ways out to the side. I've got this one set up the same way. You see a sliver of my Jeep over here and then the rest just a wide view there. So I put the old HD module back in because that still gives me my rear camera. So we're just gonna have to run with that for now. Other than that, these are how they look on the outside, which in my case they don't stand out since I've got nothing but black and white on here basically. Upgrades that I did recently. And there's the other camera. So everything's great on these. You can't expect too much picture quality from them as they're only the 720 pixel. I mean, they're not meant to be freaking HD TV quality sort of stuff. So I don't get the people that complain about the camera quality being horrible on it. I am going to do some research and learn a little more on the AHD piece of it versus the old camera setup that they had. So I'm going to find out like what exactly the differences are and basically the perks of these cameras versus the old ones and stuff like that. But other than that, I like them. They're going to serve their purpose on keeping track of my sides, whether I'm on the road or off the road. So overall, I'd highly recommend them. They're great so far. On to the new issue about the backup camera. So do that in a separate segment.